All righty, sports fans, welcome on in. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm not Sean O'Connell. I'm Scott Mitchell. He's off watching people beat each other up. I believe he's in Scotland today. We are at the Tim Daly Infinity on 4594 South State here in Murray. We almost made it to 46. We're 4594. By the end of the day, I think we'll make it to 46 South. Anyways, an unbelievable day. It is Friday. It is Football Friday. And we have it going on today. Let me tell you what we got. We have former NFL quarterback Eric Kramer who's going to talk to us. And you want to hear his story. It's unbelievable. We have Bill Riley, the voice of the Utes. We have Mark Wilson, former NFL quarterback. We have Eric Hipple, former Aggie and NFL quarterback. Oh, by the way, Mark did play for that team down south, the BYU Cougars. And, of course, my really, really good friend Herman Moore, 12-year veteran of the NFL. So this is an NFL quarterback-friendly show today. And, and by the way, at the end, we might hear from OC. This opening segment of the Sean O'Connell Show is brought to you by Alvi Armani. If you're having hair issues, gentlemen, or ladies, maybe it's just thinning more than you'd like, let Alvi Armani help you out. Find them online at alviarmani.com and tell them ESPN 792.1 FM sent you. Anyways, tremendous show. Really looking forward to all of our guests here. Of course, the Utes play tomorrow, 8:15 kickoff. It's dark mode. It's homecoming, and the Utes are 10 in the country and looking to go higher and higher. And they've got to avenge the loss from last year to the Arizona Wildcats. Joining us on the program right now, and I'm so excited for this, is Eric Kramer. Eric played 10 years in the NFL with the Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears predominantly. He spent 3 years in the Canadian Football League. He's thrown for over 15,000 yards in his NFL career, 92 touchdowns. Eric Kramer, welcome to the program.
Hey, I appreciate being on. This is awesome. Thank you.
Oh, man, I am so excited. Okay, I got to start with a story. Okay, because we have a couple of connections here, and I really love this, okay? And I love your story. I love what's going on. Eric has he's got a book out called The Ultimate Comeback. He had some just really tough, brutally tough things go on in his life. Tried to commit suicide, among other things, if that's not enough. But and we'll get into that in just a second. But I have to tell you this story really quick. So I'm a free agent from the Miami Dolphins, and I'm sitting in Kevin Colbert's office, who is the pro personnel director for the Detroit Lions. And I'm on my first visit of free agency, which was a new thing in the NFL in 1994. And Eric Kramer was at the same time on a visit with the Chicago Bears. And Kevin tells me in his office, he says, look, we're interested in 2 quarterbacks in free agency, you and Eric Kramer. And Eric, of course, had a really nice time with the Lions. The only quarterback, I've had to hear this for years, by the way, Eric, you're the only quarterback that's led the Lions to a playoff victory in like a millennia. And I had to deal with that for all my time in Detroit, but good for you. Anyways, I'm sitting in his office, and he goes, my agent gets a phone call, and he says, Eric Kramer just signed with the Chicago Bears. So my agent tells Kevin Colbert, and Kevin goes, okay, the only quarterback we're interested right now in is Scott Mitchell. So, Eric, thank you very much. You made the negotiation with the Detroit Lions. I'm not sure if I should thank you or what, because did you ever get booed when you actually were introduced by the home folks in Detroit?
I don't know. I can't remember, but if I did, is that something we share in common?
No, but and you had this story, and I'll get to it later, about how Mouse Davis worked you out. And by the way, he actually worked me out as well, which when I was in college. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Cool.
Okay, you have said this, and this is a powerful statement. You said, my favorite failure in life was basically failing to commit suicide.
Yeah, no doubt. So, for I don't even know how long afterward, my girlfriend, Anna, who I went to high school with, she was there all throughout this process of recovery. And she would say, she would refer to my suicide attempt as an accident. And I said, Anna, you don't understand. This was methodically planned out by me. This is something I wanted to do. And then several years passed, and recovery kept going on. And, I thought, you know what? She's right. And I told her this. I said, nobody in their right mind would plan to do what I actually did do. And so that being the case, I'm going to give myself a break here and say I was not in my right mind,
Right.
and therefore it was an accident, and it's something that I hope and never plan to do again. I'll say this, Scott. You referred to a little bit in the build-up in the introduction here is that I've gone through some pretty powerful things, not always in a good way in life. And so anxiety and depression were sort of a constant companion of mine for quite a while. And since my accident, I have not had one shred of depression or anxiety. That being said, I've taken an active approach to this whole process in that rather than, let things let things and feelings go unsaid, rather than do that, I've been proactive in making sure I have a solid home team, including Anna, that have come now to know a little bit more about depression than they once did, and also about things that occur in my life that may be, doesn't matter good or bad, but that I can actively myself reach out to a few folks, and it doesn't have to be 20, it could be one, it could be two or three, that, can either I can express myself or they can see something in me that is worth asking, hey, are you okay?
So, just for those out there that don't know what happened, in 2015, Eric actually attempted to commit suicide, and he, by the grace of God, was unsuccessful at this. And I'm curious. You talk a lot about depression, and you're not really. Do you know when it started? Do you know what the signs were for it? You talk now about having kind of a team of people and being able to recognize things. How does a person get help, and how do they recognize when they have depression?
Well, so if you're asking me personally about my experience, the first time I ever experienced anxiety, depression, or anything within that sort of family of feelings was when I went from Detroit to Chicago. And we ran a system unlike anything I was familiar with while in Chicago. And it took me a little while to get going. And so about, 3 or 4 games into the season, I want to say, I can't remember what the record was, we were maybe 2-2 or something. And I was playing okay, but nothing great. And I separated a shoulder against Minnesota and, was out for a few weeks. And Steve Walsh came in, was backup, and actually played well enough for us to win a couple games, I believe. And then I think I got to come back in and play another game or two. Again, didn't play particularly well at all, and found myself on the bench for the rest of the season. And that was, when you're brought in, as you kind of detailed, free agency had just begun. That was the first time in my life that any team since youth football has said, we want you to be the quarterback. So that was a big difference for me. And coming as an undrafted free agent, kind of calling my way onto the Lions and playing during the strike in Atlanta and going up to Canada, as you'd mentioned. So to not come through and then be replaced, and then that train just keeps moving on without you, that was the first time that I just kind of got this, I don't know what to call it, but it was kind of like this bubbling up of kind of more of a percolating of negative feelings, meaning like I lost all confidence the team kind of, again, like I said, kind of went on. And the thing that I noticed about, well, it doesn't matter if it's anxiety or depression or lack of confidence, whatever it is, your field of sort of perspective goes from the entire world and hopes and dreams to a very small keyhole that may or may not have any light coming through it. And so, you know, it's not like I didn't know how to get to work, but I certainly questioned whether I wanted to make that final turn. And so, you know, I remember there was a players only meeting at some point, and we had a few.
Yeah, I've been through a few of those player only meetings.
Sure. And so we had a few vocal guys, and you know, one of them stood up and started talking about how, you know, in a forceful tone, you know, how some of you got to get your act together, and then not using those exact words. And I felt like he was talking directly to me, which I can guarantee you he had no thought of me. But you don't feel that when you're in the moment. Like I said, you lose sort of all real perspective. And so that's what it was like for me. And it was sort of a silent suffering. And I remember getting on, I forget how or from who, some antidepressants, but those don't really work right away. You know, they're sort of, you know, it's not like taking an aspirin where it gets rid of a headache. I mean, you take them for, you know, I don't know, month and a half or so, and then finally you kind of start to, at least the downward spell, or the kind of, you know, hole that you're in, it starts to ease and get you back up to maybe zero. And then you, from there, start building your way up to kind of maybe feeling back to normal at some point. So at least then I kind of felt like, you know, in some way it was related to what I was doing. That proved over time to actually not be the case.
So could you, you know, in the NFL and the environment that we were in, like, you'd never talk about stuff like this. Like, and you would suffer in silence. And I really get that. I'm curious, is it the events of, like, you have this depression happening, mental health issue, I believe you had anxiety issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel that it was kind of the events of life where they just started to pile on that just kind of accentuated the challenge and the problem with depression?
It very well could have been. It very well could have been. And it also could have been in part due to my, you know, upbringing. And so we all kind of start there, right?
Yeah.
And so how you see the world and view the world sort of is in some way shaped as far back as when you're kids or when we're kids. And then I think also the ability to share or not share what's going on and find some
I have the
relief that way. So, you know, and I eventually worked my way back to a gentleman in Detroit where I started named Kevin Wildenhouse. And Kevin was a therapist. He's retired now. But and we eventually got back together and started kind of working remotely because they didn't have Zoom back then. So this was over the phone, or Kevin would, you know, fly him out to games, or he would sort of put some thoughts of his kind of via, you know, in the realm of like breathing, deep breathing and visualization and guided imagery. He'd put those on cassette tapes and mail them to me. And I would, throughout a week or the night before a game, I would, you know, kind of stretch to those sort of things. And 1995 was a season in the exact opposite order of 1994.
Right.
And offensively, at least, we were about as good as it got in the NFL that year. And so it's weird how, you know, these things can be temporary. When I say these things, these thoughts and emotions, more the emotional part of being anxious and depressed, really can turn around. They can appear in a short term, and they can go away in a relatively short term. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened.
It's interesting. So it's National Suicide Prevention Month, by the way, and the National Suicide Prevention line is 800-273-85 or 8255. So if anyone is kind of having some of these issues, please reach out. Please call. It's a real thing. I'm really curious, Eric. So when you decided to commit suicide, like how long was it? Was it months? Was it minutes? Was it days? Was it hours? Like how much went into?
I want to say it was probably. I'm going to say it was a period of about a month-ish.
Okay.
Something like that, where I was kind of, and here's the problem. So I was in my house by myself daily. And my youngest son, Dylan, so I was, let's see, this was 2000. So I wasn't, so I was already divorced, and I don't think we talked about this, but I had my oldest son, or our oldest son, Griffin, passed away in 2011. And he passed away from a heroin overdose where he had been battling a drug addiction for a few years. And that's its own story. But
yeah, which I can only imagine was awful and a horrible thing.
Tragic. It's something I'd never experienced and hope to never again. But that's sort of a subject all to itself. But so I was, back in 2015, as you'd mentioned, Dylan, my ex-wife's name is Marshawn. Dylan was living with her. And so I found myself by myself. And given the state of my mental and emotional well-being, which there really wasn't much, I began planning my exit. And so, meaning, who's going to get what? And meanwhile, the people in the who's going to get what category could have cared less, right? And so, but eventually there was nothing more to do. All the planning had been done. And so what I did was even though Dylan wasn't living with me, he did have a key to the house and was over often. And so I didn't want him to be, walk in on that scene. And so I, went down a couple miles away to a hotel and ironically named the Goodnight Inn. And that's where I ultimately took a small bag with a loaded gun in it. And, also, what are you doing putting 12 or 13 rounds in a gun that's only going to take one shot? So,
right. Yeah.
Anyway, thankfully, after pulling the trigger and, put it up underneath my jaw or chin area, fortunately, I failed in that attempt, which I didn't miss, but the way it worked out, I'm still here, which is fantastic.
It truly is. And, again, for anyone out there having any kind of issues like this, and it hits us all in different ways, in different forms in our lives. And there is another way, though, right, Eric? I mean, looking back on it now, you went through this. What could you have done different? What would you say to people in this situation now? How can they do things differently than you did at that time?
So I'm 59 now, and the same formula I would have for a 59-year-old is the same formula I would have for a fourth or fifth or sixth grader, and that is, start to observe in people those qualities, those human characteristics that you would like. hopefully in yourself, but that you're attracted to, and start to build and reach out to those people and let them know you're building your own home team, and you would like for them to be on it and do the very things that I mentioned before, where, if somebody is a sort of an emotionally caring, outwardly giving person, and for instance, and then I would say, hey, here's some things that I've noticed about you in examples 1, 2, and 3, and I'm attracted to that part of you. And I would like for you to be someone that I can reach out to from time to time, and whether we go to lunch or just talk over the phone. And then if there's possibly something from time to time that you might see in me, you have complete permission to ask me if everything's all right. And that would be my formula. You could also throw in a therapist in there for you if you like, somebody that's attuned to you as a person, that you have a good connection with. And that's one thing I have found is that, hey, there's this group of folks out there called therapists that are really trained intuitive listeners. And so that can really listen, and not just listen, but then come back with some perspective that maybe you had not given, not had.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you're saying this, I just keep hearing this. We talk about it takes a village to raise our children. But it sounds like it takes a village for us all the time, whether we're younger or older or whatever. This whole village thing.
I agree with you, and I'm not sure there's an age where you stop being that child.
Yeah. I know, boy, I can relate to so much of this. I really can, and having good people around me and being able to talk through a lot of things wherever it is or whomever it's with has been just a great thing for me in my life. The Ultimate Comeback is a book that Eric has written about his journey, about how he went through these really challenging things and turned these devastating events in his life into these wonderful, positive things that you're out there helping out a lot of folks. You have the EK Passing Camp. Tell me what that's about.
So, there's we just started this, kicked it off this year, and I gathered up a group of former players. Some played in the NFL, some played in college, and so we're looking to work with young high school kids and on what we've learned over the years, football-wise, from doing various drill progressions and putting those within a certain system. So offensively, we'll be running the basics of the West Coast passing game, and defensively, we'll be running all the coverages that they do in high school, which they at least they try to, which would be man covers 1 and 2, and then zone 2, 3, and 4. And but we're also going to work with offense and defensive linemen, and so what my goal is, we're going to start with the younger kids, like the ones that have just played their freshman year of football, and this will be an off-season program that's going to run on Sundays. Practices will be on Sundays. I think there's 17 of them between January 5th and April 27th. So most high schools start their spring football practice in May. And so there'll be one practice on a Sunday. I think there's 17 of Sundays, but we're going to practice on 14. And then there's a meeting on Monday nights. And then we're going to intersperse some of this mental health touchdown program that I'm going to talk about in a second as well. And we're going to start that out with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders as an after-school program. And it basically is what I just laid out, is learning how to create a home team around you. And the two other people I have associated with me in that is a woman named Catherine Casimir. And Catherine is here where I live in Thousand Oaks is part of Ventura County. And so Catherine is very tied into all of the Ventura County behavioral health and school districts, schools themselves, working with young kids on these very subjects. And her background is improv theater. And so it's social change theater is how she refers to it. And it's basically acting out scenarios that kids actually in their own lives act out and then would spark conversations. And then there's another gentleman, Tim Thane, who just delivered this last weekend's workshop to our coaches and staff. And Tim is the licensed marriage and family therapist, although that's not how I know him. I know him in the way that when Griffin was, I think, around 13, I flew him to Salt Lake City, and two people from Second Nature, which is a therapeutic outdoor wilderness program, came to meet us there at the airport. So I dropped Griffin off, and then unfortunately he was only there for about 7 weeks. But then Tim Thane was at that time owned a company called Homeward Bound. So they were the transition home folks, and it was the greatest 3-day workshop I've ever participated in, ever. Until I just participated in the same, not similar one, but a similar fashion one this past weekend with our coaches. Awesome. And so it's a way it's all based on a communication model, which is solution talk. So let's say you were my teenage son, and there was, along with the attitude that comes with being a teenager, you're going to, there's 50 some odd things, let's say, that you could and probably should be doing, like making your bed, like whatever. But you're not. And I'm going to focus as your parent on the one thing that you are doing that you may not even be aware that you're doing. And it's a way to build the relationship first. And then you can model for everybody around you the communication that you're looking for, that you seek. And so Tim wrote a book called Taking the Reins. He wrote it with a gentleman named Hild Kerset. And Tim has been around horses his whole life. And so these are sort of lessons of life told through somebody who's been around horses their whole life. And it's a phenomenal book on leadership, basically saying that we've got to come together with a vision, and through that vision, we want to begin attaining certain goals for that. Well, the best way for us to get there is to observe all of what we already do that's really good and keep reminding each other of that. Because you're typically going to get better at what you focus on. Right. As opposed to what you did wrong, we're going to focus on what you did right and hone that.
I love it. Hey, we got to take a break now, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I got a million more questions. I'd love to talk to you some more down the road. It's really an incredible story. If you haven't gotten Eric's book before, get The Ultimate Comeback, Eric Kramer. I hope you have a great day. If you ever need any help, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to do anything for you and wish you the best in everything you're doing.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thank you. And same to you, Scott. Anything, I'm always here. I'm a phone call away, and even though we're half a country away. So enjoy the rest of your show today and what's going on this year. So
you got it.
Thank you for having me on, Scott.
We'll talk about Barry Sanders later, so we'll get down to that. All right. Hey,
all right, man.
All right, be good.
Take
care.
This is
Sean O'Connell Show, and of course our show today and every day is brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Les Schwab has the tires, wheels, and accessories for whatever you drive. Stop by your local Les Schwab today, and their professionals will get the job done right. All right, before we go to break, we're going to catch up with the folks here at Tim Daly Infinity, which is at 4594 South State in Murray. they have deals. Of course, they always have the forever warranty because it's the most amazing thing in the world I've ever heard. I'm here with Jason Broadbent. Broadhead. Sorry, the thing was
a little far away.
Broadhead. No, it was the cord there was knocking off the
No,
H.
you're
So,
all good. So yeah, like Scott
so are you
said,
in charge here? What's the deal?
Oh
are you
no,
running the show?
I'm the local radio guy. No one else.
Oh,
wants to,
of
wants
course.
To take the bear
Yes.
of it, so
yeah.
I'm here.
Well,
for
shoot,
it.
take over for me. Go for it.
Yeah, of course.
You got deals. You got stuff going on. Talk to me. Let's go. Share it with the folks out there.
The main thing for my customers that I like saying is that we have the 2025 QX80, hottest car on the market right now. If you're looking for a luxury SUV, this is the car to look for. We have so many incentives on this vehicle, incentivized interest rates. We have manufacturer warranties that come with it. We have rebates as well. We're really trying to move these cars, of course, like you said, forever warranty as well.
Yes.
And me personally.
Okay, so you're trying to move them, right?
Yes, we're trying to
How
move them.
soon?
Oh,
like when do these
today,
people need to get down here
minutes.
now?
Get
Let's
down
go.
here
What are you
today.
waiting for?
Jason's on the radio, so I'm going to tell you something. They said I have all the power. So
you
what
do.
I'm going to say is I don't care if you're buying a used car. I don't care if you're buying a new car. If you're coming down here, Jason's giving you floor mats. Jason's giving you tint. Jason is going to take care of you.
Ooh.
Okay, and I'm being selfish. My managers told me every time you say Jason gets you in this dealership, you say you ask for Jason, I get $20. So if you want a favor from Jason, say you ask for him, and I owe you one. Isn't that something you want? You want something owed to you.
Definitely.
I'm going to help you guys out. Come buy some cars from us. We want to move them. It's a great day. It's sunny out. Just come spend some time with us.
Jason, I want to give you $20.
Oh, thank you,
just because you're Jason.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, we're going to take a break here. This is it. Come down to Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State in Murray. Great deals and, of course, that forever warranty. This is ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk, and, of course, your home for the Utes. We'll be back in a minute with the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley.
we had some challenging mental health issues, and we all go through them. Everyone deals with it, and I think his wife is not thinking that that's my so he started into if you're feeling it in your life, not a lot of and reach out. It's out. I think it's out. And here's the question. Well, it is that. Show hard, can't wait till tomorrow. All right, so this is still. I
They've got a lot of room to grow, whether that's Rising tomorrow or whether that's Isaac Wilson tomorrow. I think Utah can win with either one of those guys. If it's Cam, he still obviously isn't completely healthy, completely knocked off the rust. He hasn't played a lot of snaps this year. If it's Isaac, it's just another growing experience. So
Right.
I really like what I see. I think defensively they've answered some questions maybe I've had, and they still haven't been 100% on defense. But I think this is a really good football team, Scott.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I had questioning going into the season was the secondary. And, man, I like these guys. I mean, they just seem to make plays. I mean, the secondary is really and I'll tell you someone else who's kind of surprised me is Nate Ritchie. You know, he has I didn't play a lot last week, but he has been playing and he just seems to have that step back because he's a football player. You know, he's just one of those guys that can play.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the Gilman-Teo Johnson combination last week was really, really good. Those guys, they just kind of fly around everywhere, and you notice that, you notice them. They kind of announce their presence with the way they play. I like that combination. Prior to last week, I thought Nate had played really well as well. But, no, you're right. Now, that being said, tomorrow night will be the great test for that secondary. To be very fair, I thought Oklahoma State might throw it a little bit better. They didn't. And I don't know if that's because of Utah or what, but I know Noah Fafita and Tetero McMillan, we've seen it firsthand. They're really good. So I think tomorrow night will be that great test for the Utah secondary.
Yeah, Tetero McMillan is a man among boys. I'm telling you, he is something else. You talk about Cam Rising and knocking off the rust. And let's face it, people, like Cam Rising is Kyle Whittingham's quarterback, and he's the guy they want to have in there. He's the most experienced. He's going to give Utah a healthy Cam Rising. He's going to give Utah the very best chance to win, period, for the rest of the year. So I'm sure Cam's going to come back. How long do you think it would take, though? How long do you think it'd take him to kind of get where he's really hitting his stride?
I think that's a better question for you because I've never played that position at a high level and come off an injury, and you've done those things. Mentally, it's not, because mentally, I think you begin to, it's the old riding a bike, you process it, you see it, you've seen a lot of football. I just don't know physically, was that one half of football against Southern Utah enough? It didn't look like it because they were a little slow against Baylor in that game, but it looked like it was starting to really, kind of come back. So, again, you know this better than I do, but I would think it would take you maybe a couple of more series to really knock that rust off, and then being back to being Cam Rising again whenever that time happens to be. But you tell me.
Well, the funny thing for me is I think it would be harder to get used to the glove than the injury. I know all these guys, they wear those gloves, and I just like the feel of my fingers on the football, and you get intimately involved with each one of those fingers and where they fit on the laces and how they come. I mean, you really have a sense, a deep sense of that, and it's such a vital part of being able to throw a football is how you grip it and how it feels in your hand, because there are adjustments you make on kind of the trajectory you put on the football, whether you put a little bit more air under it or you drive it, and those fingers and how they work together. It's almost like a professional musician who knows how to work the strings of an instrument, and they'll subtly move them in a way to create this. The same thing throwing a football. You kind of don't teach it. You just kind of intuitively know how to do it and see it and react to it. But not having the sensation of your fingers with the gloves, I think that would be the biggest challenge to me. I think it's going to be an adjustment, Bill. I really do. And I don't know how long it will take when he comes back. I think he can be effective and they can win, but it might be 2 or 3 games where he says, okay, I really, really feel comfortable with this.
And really, even though you played the position and I didn't, and we could both speculate, it's really a Cam Rising thing. He may step back on with that glove on his hand and be the old Cam Rising ready to go. Maybe it just takes him a series or 2 to get used to game situations again, just having been away for a couple of weeks. I don't know. I think he'll be fine. I'm just not sure if that period is 1 or 2 offensive series or 1 or 2 weeks. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And I know guys that, Kurt Warner, he loved playing with a glove. And, and that guy's in the Hall of Fame. And then there are other guys like, don't put that stupid thing on me ever again.
Did
it's
Warner
horrible.
wear the glove with the Rams, too? I remember him wearing it with
he didn't know.
The Cardinals.
Later.
And it was later in his career, right?
And what it is with those guys, it's weather, right? So they put these gloves, and they go, it's hard to go without a glove, and then all of a sudden you get into the weather part of the season, and then you put it on. And so he's like, I'm just putting it on all the time now because part of my season is going to be in the weather. And then he just got really used to doing it. And it's a thing. I'm just telling you, wearing a glove, throwing a football is a thing, and it's an adjustment. And I think it's a big adjustment for a lot of people. What do you think has to change? Who needs to get involved with this offense that isn't right now?
That's a good question because I think the involvement's been good. I think, we'll talk about this on the pregame show tomorrow. Utah should have won both the Utah State game and the Oklahoma State game by a wider margin. The games weren't actually as close as they looked.
Right.
They missed opportunities. And some of that, again, I think you said it last week, Isaac didn't necessarily make mistakes. It was just learning situations. Just,
right.
That safety made an unbelievable break on the ball to pick off that ball. Normally that's the wheel route for the touchdown. I'd like to see, just because I like him a lot and because I saw what he did a year ago, Landon King. We haven't really seen Landon King involved. Now, wide receivers, I think, have been pretty well involved, though Damian Alford has, as a transfer from Syracuse. But, Dorian Singer, 7 grabs for 95 yards. Money Parks has been involved with this offense. Brant Keithy has been involved. Obviously, Mekhi Bernard has been involved. Dejon Stanley has been involved. So I think they're doing that. What we saw last year from Landon King, and I just don't know because I'm not I don't know what we can all say, well, we don't know what the plays are called. We don't know what the scheme is. We don't know if he's, but I do know what I saw a year ago. What I saw a year ago was a guy that was really, I thought, beginning to emerge. And maybe that will still come. But Keithy's an All-American.
Yeah.
And, you feed All-Americans, and he's put time into the program. And maybe Landon King's time comes. But I honestly think they're doing a pretty good job of getting people involved. Carson Ryan's gotten some grabs. Caleb Lohner's got a couple of touchdowns. I think Caleb's still a situational guy when you've got some other proven guys, but Money Parks and Dorian Singer, you and I have both said he's, again, not one of your top 2 or 3 guys, but I like what Luca Caldarella brings. He blocks really, really hard, and when you throw him the football, he catches it. So I'm not sure if I force anything. If others get involved, it's great. But I kind of like the weapons they got. I think it's just a matter of, not missing some throws, and we'd see some bigger outputs.
Yeah, it's the evolution of that tight end group, and where they're predominantly, when they all come in, it's kind of a blocking situation. It'd be interesting to see what kind of mismatches they could get if they spread Keithy and King out, put them in the slot, and had Caldarella at a wide receiver, and you might create some fun mismatch. I'm sure that evolution is there. I just haven't seen it yet.
Well, here's the one thing we know, though. The one thing we know Andy Ludwig is really good at is scheming with tight ends.
Yep.
He's really good at it. So I don't know that we've seen the full play. I don't think we've probably seen, from a play calling standpoint, I don't know that we've seen more than about 50 or 60%. Now, Kyle Whittingham told us if it is Isaac Wilson again, or when he does play, the full playbook's available to him. I just don't think we've seen Andy dial in. I don't think he's gone super deep in that playbook. Do you?
No. This offense, I think, has tremendous potential, but just hasn't quite shown all of what it's capable of doing. Before I let you go, I'm curious, what is the most important thing that needs to happen tomorrow night for Utah to win?
I don't think you can give up big plays. I don't think Arizona's great offensive or defensively. I think they're better than they were a few years ago, but K-State put 31 up on them. And K-State scored 9 in Provo last week. I don't think K-State's offense is great, and they scored 31. I think Utah's offense at home is going to be – I just don't think Arizona likes to hit for big plays. That's right. Who they are and what they are. They're not a team that wants to do 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives.
Yeah.
They want to throw the ball down the field to McMillan and hit for big plays. And then, they want 4 and 5 play drives. They don't want 8 and 9 play drives.
Right.
So if you can prevent McMillan and Fafita from hitting from some of those big plays and some of those trick plays that they ran a year ago, I think that's the key. Because I think that Fafita, good quarterback, is a guy that might get a little impatient if he can't get the ball to his buddy, his high school teammate, his number one target. So I think if you can avoid giving up that big play, that home run ball to McMillan and make him earn it a little bit, I think Utah will be in good shape.
This segment is, of course, brought to you by Advanced Windows. Every time Bill Riley comes on the show, he comes with Advanced Windows and comes with a story. Tell us about Advanced Windows, Bill.
Well, the story is they're a great local company. The story is they've got great Utah ties because our buddy Nate Orchard is one of the owners and operators. But what they are is, even before Nate was involved with them, Advanced Windows, 36 years making, ordering, producing window products for people in Utah. Not sending it to Indonesia, not sending it off to China. They make everything right here. Great people that live in our community and serve our community well. And whether you need 10 windows, 2 windows, 50 windows for your house, or the treatments that go with them, Nate and Jake and Dave and that whole company, they just do such a great job of taking care of you and keeping you involved during the process. They've also got a fall football special where you'll save $2,500 on windows. And now's the time to do it, by the way, before winter hits. If you've got those, if your heating bills are really, really high, you might have old leaky windows. So have somebody from Advanced Windows come out now and measure your house, give you an estimate, and then order them, because it's usually about 8 weeks from the time they measure your windows to get them installed. and that's about the time it's going to start turning cold around here. So I think the world of them. They've taken great care of me with shutters, blinds, and everything I've needed at my house, and I just can't recommend them enough. So AdvancedWindowsUSA.com, Advanced Window Products. Tell them I sent you. Tell them Scott sent you, but they're great people.
There you go. There you have it. Bill Riley and, of course, the Advanced Windows. Look forward to tomorrow night. Thanks for your time, Bill.
I'll see you tomorrow, Scott. Thanks.
All righty. Well, I guess we're going to meet with John again. Jason, I'm so sorry.
The cord's getting him every
I'm
time.
telling you, you shifted the cord on. So
I know.
He
I'm
has
setting
a
you up for
headset
failure.
on. He's got his name tag on because I don't know anybody's name. I barely know my name on here. So,
All good.
Jason Broadhead
Yes, sir.
is here.
We're here. Jason's back on the radio, everyone.
We're at Tim Dowley Infinity on 4594 South State Street here in Murray. And, of course, they've got amazing deals. They've got the forever warranty. But I'm just telling you, when Jason gets on the radio, things happen. We got deals going on. Talk to us.
We got deals going on. So I think, I talked about all the great things, me personally, Jason can give my customers. But I think the real thing I want to talk about is the actual inventory that we have on our lot. We do, of course, have new Infinities, but I think one of the bigger things that we do better than, other competition, you could say, is the vast variety of used cars we have on our lot. We have luxury SUVs, we have sports sedans, we have muscle cars, we have really anything you could look at. And, of course, with the IRS EV rebate going around, you can get up to $4,000 off on certain EVs or plug-in hybrids at a certain price point. So a lot of people come in here looking for the vast variety of inventory we have. Our EVs are great, our SUVs are great, our sedans are great. We really have anything for anyone.
You got to come down and check it out. And they got a million. Like, I'm surrounded by cars. Like, I don't know what. And whatever you want. You want a new car, used car, great stuff. Come down here. And forever.
Don't forget that. The forever warranty on our used cars. That's the one big thing I'd say is when you buy a vehicle from us, you are protected for life.
And by the way, we're going to throw a few things in here.
Let's do it.
We're giving folks you just show up. First people to get here. I think we're giving 4. Is it 2 or 4? Ultimate tailgate, Smith's Ultimate Tailgate. We're giving away 2. So you show up. They're valued at $100. We broadcast our pregame show from the Smith's Tailgate. It's a great event. I'm telling you, amazing food. Come down.
Come down. Listen, if you ask for Jason, if you say you heard us from the radio, you're going to get something for it. We want to take care of our customers. ESPN's here taking care of us as well, so I definitely think this is the time. If you're looking for a car, I hate to say it for my managers, but I feel like we're kind of throwing them away. So definitely come down. Today's the day to get a new vehicle. We'd love to help out.
Yeah, don't be throwing away the cars. All right, you're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk and your home of the Utes. We'll be back with so much more today on Football Friday. that. Alrighty, sports fans, it is Football Friday, and I'm so excited. There's so much going on this weekend. Great conference games, of course, with the Utes. They take on the Arizona Wildcats. It's at 8:15 kickoff. It's dark mode. It's homecoming. It's the Hall of Fame weekend. It's a lot. It means the Utes can go one step closer to a conference championship. They're looking good so far. You don't want to miss the game. Look, I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in for Sean O'Connell. It's his show. He's off watching people beat each other up. Really excited about what we got going on today. And by the way, the hot lunch today is Jersey Mike's. Every sandwich is fresh sliced right in front of you, and cheesesteaks made to order on the grill. What are you waiting for? Jersey Mike's, a sub above. We're giving away 2 free sub cards at the end of the show on topical trivia. Oh, and I guess we're giving out more. Is that correct? Thomas Rhett at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on the 20th. Was that right? That doesn't make. Oh, is it in 2025? Am I understanding this correct?
Yeah,
okay,
it is.
So it's September 20th of 25. So it's next September because we're getting ahead of the 20th this year. Man, we are organized here like you would not believe. We got people lining up for all kinds of things. Anyways, we got part of topical trivia. 2 tickets.
Your summer plans for next year already started.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Anyways, that's part of. Yes, topical trivia is going to be a lot of fun today. And by the way, come down here. We're at Tim Daly Infinity, right? We're at 4594 South State Street in Murray. We have 2 tickets to give away to the Smith's Tailgate. They're $100 value a piece. Is that correct? A piece or together? Anyways, it's a great deal. It's awesome. We do a pregame show from there. You don't want to miss it. And by the way, FanX, we have 2 tickets to FanX. That's right. That's coming up here on the 26th to the 28th, which is really actually this weekend. 2 tickets, FanX, $300 value. You show up, you get them. First come, first serve. I have kind of a funny thing, James. I know we got to bump out to break here. Everyone's on Travis Kelce, right? Travis Kelce is like, where'd this dude go? Like, he's disappeared. Like, he's not playing this year. He's been fairly unproductive.
Travis Houdini, I think he changed his name to.
And everyone's like, oh man, he's got to tone down his life. He's got to stop this with. And I'm like, okay, any human being on the earth, any male human being on the earth. Let me paraphrase this. Would probably be exactly the same if they were seriously involved with Taylor Swift. Cut the guy some slack.
By the way,
won multiple Super Bowls. Let him just kind of cruise for a little while.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's Taylor's guy.
Yeah,
and he's been on stage with her, and I'm just telling you, anybody's in that situation. They're going to be give him a pass. They're going to be mushy. They're not going to perform. No, they're going to. We're all deeply envious. And if we're not envious, then we're saying, "Oh, I hate Taylor Swift and I hate all this and hate." No. If any red-blooded American male was in the same position as Travis Kelce, things would not be any different. Cut the guy some slack. That's all I'm saying.
By the way, he is 34 years old too, Scott. So it could also just be that time's catching up to him. It doesn't all have to be Taylor Swift's fault and his off the field activities fault. Like he is getting a little longer in the tooth, as they say here too.
All right, well, let's take a break. Let's contemplate Taylor and Travis's life together as we go to break here. When we come back, we have Troy Hutchinson from GoAZCats.com. We're going to talk about the Arizona Wildcats, who are Utah's opponent. They have lost a game this year, but it wasn't a conference game. This is the conference opening game for the Arizona Wildcats. We're going to chat about it when we return. This is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk, and your home of the Utes. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is Football Friday. I know. It's Friday. It's Among Us. If you really have to do something, go watch a high school football game tonight. I think there's college games tonight. There's college games all day tomorrow. The Utes play at 8 o'clock. You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, and I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in for Sean. He's in Scotland watching people beat each other up. So I love to fill in whenever I can. We're at Tim Daly Infinity here at 4595 South State in Murray. 2 tailgate passes to the Smiths, which you got to get. Amazing deal here. You just show up. Whoever walks in the door, bam, bam, we give them to you. They're yours. And we have FanX. FanX is among us. 2 tickets to FanX, so don't miss it. Come down. Just come down and say hi. I'm I like friends. I like people around. So love to have you here. Right now, what we'd love to have is we have Troy Hutchinson from GoAZCats.com. He's a beat writer for the Arizona Wildcats. He joins us on the program. We're going to talk a little bit about the old Arizona Wildcats. Troy, welcome to the program. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, man, it's Friday. We're talking about football. Football's my favorite thing in the world. So I'm doing really well. Okay, so Arizona played a couple of weeks ago. They're coming off a bye. They're coming here to Salt Lake City. It's Arizona's conference opener, which is kind of weird because they played at K-State, had a tough loss there. I think that was a bit surprising to people what happened there. A lot of people are very high on the Arizona Wildcats here. But tell me, what's kind of what's your takeaway from where Arizona is with its non-conference kind of not conference game against K-State? What is the non-conference schedule for Arizona tell us about the Wildcats?
It tells us that it's an unknown. Arizona coming into the season thought to have one of the better offenses in college football, and statistically they do. But if you take out that New Mexico game where they scored 61 points, you only have 22 against NAU, 7 against Kansas State, and you're left to wonder, what is this Arizona team about? What is their identity? Because they do have their struggles defensively as they try to work through a new system with Dwayne Aquina. And now offensively, you thought that was the thing that was going to always be there this season. And you're left to wonder, is this Arizona team going to be a good offensive team or not? Kansas State's a tough opponent, and going into Manhattan is tough, but 7 points is 7 points, and it's only scored 22 against NAU. There's questions, arising with offense.
Yeah, and you got 2 great offensive players too. I mean, Noah Fafita and Tatora McMillan they're amazing, right? And so I'm curious, before I dive a little deeper in that, what's kind of the vibe in Arizona about the Big 12 and about being in this new conference? And you have old familiar faces and some new ones. What are the folks down there feeling about this new arrangement?
Yeah, I think there's always excitement when you play new opponents, and you're going to have Big 12 teams come to Tucson, and you've seen Big 12 fan bases travel very well in the past. But a little bit of sadness. A lot of U of A fans have been watching Arizona football since they were in the WAC before the Pac-10. So you're talking about a long time in the Pac-10, and those opponents, and there's a lot of rivalries and tradition with that. So losing that, I think, hurts a lot of Arizona fans, but there's a excitement aspect to it as well.
So how big of a rivalry is Utah? It's a familiar face. It's a conference opponent. Utah's won the last 6 up until last year, but it's there's been some history there. What kind of rivalry is there between Utah and Arizona?
Personally, I don't think there's a rivalry between the two. They've played in the same conference for the past 10 or so years as well. They've matched up a lot of the times, but it's always a good matchup and usually very close. Arizona back in the day, I think that was 2015, upsetting Utah in Arizona when they were ranked number 6 in the country. So you do have historical moments throughout this matchup. But, I think it's just 2 familiar opponents that know each other very well. But I personally wouldn't call it a rivalry. I think Utah's a little bit more focused on BYU and Arizona State for it to be a rivalry.
Yeah, we prefer them to be the team down south, but we understand what you're talking about. I'm curious what changed in Arizona over the last few years, because I remember not that long ago that Arizona on the schedule was kind of an easy win, and that's not really been the case. A lot of people picked Arizona to win the conference, and of course they were ranked 20 in the beginning of the season. So there are a lot of high expectations there, but things have changed. And how did that happen?
Yeah, going back to when Jed Fish first got to Tucson, his blueprint was NFL mold, kind of having an NFL-style coaching there, and also recruiting. And I think that's lifeblood for any program. And what happened with Coach Fish is he got Noah Fafita, and therefore Tetro McMillan, Keon Burnett, Jacob Manu, and he got this core together from Servite that was able to go out and recruit kids to come to Arizona as well. Say, hey, I'm going to Arizona. You should come too. Like, let's make this a family thing. And Utah knows very much this fact as well as Arizona throughout its history, that Polynesian community and that connection is very strong. And so that was one of the main recruiting driving forces, was the Polynesian community. And going back to the, Dick Tomey days, the Mike Stoops days, Arizona was built off of Polynesian football. And now they've gotten back to those roots thanks to Jed Fish before he left for Washington. And that's why Arizona sits where they are. Strong Polynesian influence and just a very tight-knit community and a tight-knit program.
Yeah, he did a great job. I'm a big fan of Jed Fish's and what he's done there. How surprised were people when Tetero McMillan and Noah Fafita decided not to leave and that they stuck around? Is that part of that culture you're talking about, or what went into all of that?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit surprising that they did not leave, considering the atmosphere of college football. I mean, you have a quarterback at UNLV that is opting out the rest of the season due to NIL. So you're in that type of environment now. But I don't think it's completely shocking. I think if there were a group of star players that were going to do that, it would be these two.
Right.
They did get their NIL from Arizona. That's for sure. Some Arizona boosters stepped up, but more importantly for them, they could have gotten whatever number from Ohio State, whatever number from Washington, Oregon, and so on and so forth. They made sure that they took care of their teammates. They made sure they took care of their friends. So, yes, they got their NIL, but they made sure everybody feasted on the team and got a part of that as well.
The success in college football, so many people, including Kyle Whittingham, believe is related to do you have money? Do you have NIL money, and can you compete for these players? What's the status of Arizona and its kind of a fan base, alumni base? Are they in the market? Can they compete in this money world of college football today?
Throughout the years, going back to when Mike Stoops got fired from Arizona, NIL and the support for, well, not NIL, but the booster support back then went a little downhill because that was not a favorable firing for many of the top boosters that supported Mike Stoops. So they lost a lot of people during that time frame, and they've slowly brought it back up. They've had their issues with, Kevin Sumlin in there and Greg Burns being an ASU guy. There were some donors that didn't support that with him graduating from Arizona State. But now there's a sense where some boosters are starting to come back. They're starting to get the bigger names and, getting those lines of communication open now. So I think they're in a better spot than they were in the past 8-10 years. But you look at the grand scheme of things, you don't have a Phil Knight. You have good donors, you have wealthy donors, but you don't have that one donor that can change the landscape of your program. So even though you have to compete in NIL, the basis of your program always at Arizona and places like Utah as well is going to be developing and finding those, diamond in the rough or overlooked players and turning them into second, third, first round draft picks.
Yeah, it's on the flip side of it, a lot of fans get frustrated, right? Because you go, man, we can't do anything. We just have to watch this. But there actually is a way that boosters can have a huge impact on the direction of programs, and we really saw that at Arizona, being able to get guys out of the transfer portal and give some money to players. They saw it at Oregon State, and they've done it very well here at Utah. So I think as a booster, you actually can make a difference and can have some impact. So tell me what your feeling is about this week's matchup with Utah.
At the beginning of the season, I thought if Arizona could split the Kansas State-Utah back-to-back road games. I know they had the bye week in between, that they would be in very good shape in terms of the conference standings and potentially in the Big 12 title game. But after seeing what Arizona has put out there offensively the last two games, this is a very much and I don't want to say underwhelmed, but like this is a tall test sign in terms of you've got to show something. If you don't show something offensively in this game, this could be a very long season for Arizona after having high expectations. I think anybody would have picked Arizona from that 9 to 10 win mark. And if you don't show anything offensively that you've improved your offense during the bye week, you might be looking in that 5, 6, 7 range.
What are folks talking about down in Arizona about Utah? What sticks out about this Utah team?
Yeah, to them it's about consistency on offense in terms of the offensive line and the running game, consistency on defense, and consistency with the coaching staff. Kyle Whittingham and his staff have been around a very long time and have built that, that groundwork and that mold of being a competitive, tough, grinded out football team. Even if Cam Rising isn't back there behind center, Wilson was able to do some stuff against Oklahoma State. Did have the turnovers, but it's still a consistent football team. And that's really what Arizona's trying to reach for. Jed Fish mentioned that when he was the coach of Arizona, that's what their goal was, to be that consistent. Because if you're that consistent, you're one of the better football teams in the country, and you give yourself a shot every weekend.
This is just an interesting fact. Doesn't mean anything, but Dwayne Aquina is the brother of Sean Aquina, who was a quarterback who played with me at the University of Utah many, 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 many years ago. And Sean tragically passed away. He had a heart attack in the weight room his freshman year at Utah. But always touched by him. I think a lot about his family. Really amazing people. And I had a short experience with Sean, but it was memorable, and he's always kind of been a part of my life there. So it's kind of fun to hear about other members of his family. Speaking of coaches, what's been the vibe, the impression of Brent Brennan so far at Arizona?
I think it's one of familiarity in terms of being a Dick Tomey disciple. It's very similar coaching style of hey, it's football. Let's have fun and let's make this a family atmosphere, and a little bit laid back, a little, Southern California, West Coast laid backness to it. But I think in today's atmosphere of college football, especially when you're coming off of a 10-3 season, there needs to be a little bit of a fire, and I think the fan base right now is looking for that fire after a tough loss against Kansas State, and you had that bye week to kind of fester about it and see BYU, or the team down south that you guys say, destroy Kansas State. So I think there's a nervousness right now with the fan base surrounding this coaching staff, but also a familiarity, and they've seen this type of style before.
What's been a surprise to you so far? I mean, I know it's still pretty early with the Big 12, and I'm just curious, have you had anything that just really stood out as kind of a surprise? Like, wow, I didn't expect that with just in the conference in general.
So far, no. I mean, to me, it's going to be the traveling. Arizona hasn't had a Big 12 home game yet, so that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is how well the Big 12 fan base travels. In my mind, and growing up here in Tucson, I remember going to an Iowa game, which I know is Big 10, but you have Iowa State in the Big 12, and seeing that fan base travel. So I think of the Big 12 as more that, traveling fan base compared to what the Pac-12 was.
Yeah.
Washington fans really didn't travel. Oregon somewhat. Cal never did. Stanford never did. So just seeing opposing fan bases in the stadium and filling up the stadium, I think it's going to be nice for Arizona State, Utah as well, Colorado, and getting, people in the seats more so than what was there in the Pac-12.
It's really interesting you say that. We were in Stillwater last week, of course, playing Oklahoma State, and just the whole vibe. People were just excited. I mean, they were just really excited about the game, and I think you're right. I think there's a lot of these places that have a very passionate fan base. Will travel, will show up at home. I've been doing the color analyst for the Utah football games for the past 8 years. And it was really disappointing to go to places like Cal and to go to even UCLA and USC and you know, and no one's there, and you're just like, wow, it's kind of a sad deal here. So, all right, one more question before I let you go. I really appreciate you being on the show here. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, and I'm talking to Troy Hutchinson, who is with GoAZCats.com. He covers the Arizona Wildcats here. Of course, they're coming to town tomorrow night. Tetaroa McMillan, watching him and watching him a year ago, and he just really worked over Utah. How do you describe him? How can you describe him?
You know, I think there's been two players in terms that I've covered, high school and college, where I've said, that's an NFL first-round draft pick. That guy's different. That guy has a chance to be a Hall of Famer. Number one was Bijan Robinson. I covered him at South Point Catholic here in Tucson. And number two is Tetaroa McMillan. I've never seen a player like that outside of maybe, you know, the Reggie Bush era of USC.
Right.
He's that type of talent, very Larry Fitzgerald-like. I think he will be a top 5 draft pick. And if it wasn't for NFL teams reaching for quarterbacks that you see a lot in the draft, and this year's draft class for the quarterbacks is going to be a little bit down, but I'm sure a quarterback will go number one, whoever that may be. He has a strong case to make for being a number one draft pick, being the best player in college football. I've never seen anything like that at Arizona, and I've seen a lot of great receivers in the Pac-12, from Deshaun Jackson to Steve Smith to other great receivers in the Pac-12, Pac-10 era. Nobody's better than Tetaroa McMillan.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm a Utah guy. Yeah, well said, by the way. I'm a Utah guy. I cheer for my Utes. But Utah faithful, you know, this is a special player coming to Salt Lake City, and I hope we all can appreciate how good he really is, because he really is. Troy, thank you so much for joining the show. Can't tell you how much I mean it and appreciate it. So thanks. Hope you have a great day. And I don't know if you'll be up here tomorrow, but if you are, hopefully we'll treat you nice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one. All right.
There he is, Troy Hutchinson with GoAZCats.com. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. The Big 12 Insider, which was this segment, is brought to you by Larry H. Miller Ford Draper, the Ford King, Utah's #1 volume Ford dealer. By the way, I drive a Ford. And also Big 12 at noon is brought to you by Mountainland Supply. Go to mountainlandsupply.com. All right, we're here at Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State Street in Murray. We've got a couple of tickets to give away to the Smiths Tailgate, to FanCon. Just show up. Boom, we're going to give them to you. Jason, you're killing me, buddy.
Had to move the cord.
Move the cord.
Had to move the cord for him.
I could see his nameplate. He's got deals for you.
Yes, sir.
Jason's the guy here.
We're back.
Yes, we're giving him $20. Anyone, just $20 for Jason.
You come in and ask for Jason. Jason's given $20, and that obviously means Jason's going to owe you one, so we're going to take care of you. I know last time I was on here, I was kind of talking about the warranties that we offer on our used vehicles and just kind of talking through that. Another thing I wanted to talk about our vehicles is one big thing I believe in is, of course, taking care of customers. And I think one thing that makes my life easier to sell cars is, of course, that lifetime powertrain warranty I was talking about, their forever warranty, makes my job very easy. But maybe, being on the radio, maybe I should only talk about sales. But I'd love to really shout out our service department. Like I said, when you're buying a car from sales, you're going to be kind of connected with us when you purchase a vehicle. And we really care about our customers and making sure they're taken care of. Our service department is great. They are a tight-knit family, and they love keeping close to their customers and making sure they're taken care of. We're also doing different deals on service packages, Tim Daly maintenance, oil changes, tire rotations, different things like that. I definitely say if you do come in today and want to purchase a car, ask us about our warranties, ask us about our maintenance packages. There are a lot of deals going on that, there's only so much I can say on the radio. I have to keep some tricks up my sleeve. So I'd really say if today's the day you think you can buy a car, we want to take care of you, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for both me and my customers.
Okay, Jason, very well said.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm telling you, folks, come down here, forever warranty. They will take care of you from the beginning to the end.
Yes, sir.
And really, this is a forever relationship.
Truly.
That's what they want for the folks.
Truly.
So we're Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State Street, Murray. Show up. We're going to give you a lot of things, tickets, cars, warranties on on used vehicles?
Yes, we offer a lot of
people.
different things.
It's amazing.
We'll make your dreams come true, and I appreciate you having me on and giving me the opportunity to kind of talk about these things.
Do it. All right. This is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM, your home of the Utes and Utah's #1 sports talk. We'll be back. Who are we talking to next? Oh, Eric Hipple. Former NFL quarterback Eric Hipple is joining us around the corner. Stick around. Alrighty, sports fans, welcome on back to the program. Scott Mitchell here, your host for the day. I'm guesting for Sean, who is off in Scotland. And I think I talked to Sean earlier in the week. I think he's going to try to play golf. If he doesn't, he's a fool. I understand you watching people beat each other up and all that stuff, and that's what we do in this country. But, well, and I guess we do it in the world now. So he's over there, and I'm here, and we're having a lot of fun. It is Football Friday. We love our sports. We love our football. I love doing this show when I can come on here and talk about football. A lot of great things going on. We're at Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State in Murray. And by the way, Kurt Snyder. Kurt just showed up, and guess what Kurt got? He got FanX tickets. Yes, $300 value. And by the way, I have to clarify things. If you're in the interest of getting a new car, if you want to get a new car, come and get a new car. And so, but if not, if you just want to come down, we have tickets to the tailgate. And I need to make a clarification. So I was given information that wasn't as current, but it's now current and accurate right now. And so the information I have for you is it's tickets to the ESPN tailgate, which is still amazing. It's brought to you by Winger's Unbelievable Food. You can listen to us. You can listen to all of the broadcast before tomorrow night's game with the Utes. So super exciting stuff going on with the tailgate, and our show continues. But again, come down here, Tim Daly Infinity, if you want, and if you don't want, just come say hi. I like people saying hi to me. Kurt came by, said hello. He asked me the question: is Cam Rising playing tomorrow? And I know there are some people, and there's some people closely associated with the University of Utah who are kind of a little tired of it's Cam Rising injury fatigue, just a little fatigued by it. And I think we all kind of get that way. We just want the guy to play, be healthy, play, put us out of our misery. We love you. You're an amazing quarterback. We can't wait for you to get back, but just play. Put the glove on, do whatever you have to do, and go out there and play. Now, if it was me, that being said, I don't think Cam should play this week, actually. I actually think he should go and not play this week. Utah has a bye next week. So he's going to have about a month off, right? Have about a month off. Isaac's doing well. Isaac's getting better every week, more confident. He's in the safe, comfortable, exciting environs of Rice-Eccles Stadium, a place he's actually very familiar with, all the way back into high school. And going to be electric. It's going to be exciting. This isn't a defense that's going to blow your socks off. Got a lot of people around him offensively. Offensive line is doing well. Running game is well. Throwing game is well. And it just gives you more experience, better depth at that quarterback position, because you're probably going to need it, and gives Cam a little bit more time to actually get better and get healthy. So that's kind of my opinion. I'd actually be curious, if that's the case. Like what you guys think. What's the text line, James? Can you tell people the text line? James may be busy right now, but
877-353-0700. Dish Pros text line. Love to hear from you.
Dish Pros text line. There you go. I'm curious. Should Cam Rising? Let's say he's not 100%. Let's say he's, I don't know. Let's say, can we do a poll question, James? We just throw up a poll question. Is that possible?
Yeah, you go ahead. What do you want the question to be, Scott?
It's very simple. Should Cam Rising play tomorrow or not? So it's either yes he should or no he should. We can do that, right? We don't have to have A, B, C, D. Just yes or no.
And be whatever you want there, Scott. We can do yes or no.
I want to do that. I want to find out what should Cam Rising. Let's say he's not 100%. Okay, he's not going to be 100%. He may be 100% if he doesn't play this week and doesn't play next week because they have a bye week. But he's so do you play let's say you play a 90% Cam Rising or an Isaac Wilson. Let's say 85%, because that's probably about where he is, or where he'll get to. Because, I'm not a doctor, but, I know quite a few. Anyway, so I'd be curious what you actually think about it. Really good show. Hoping to get Eric Hipple. I don't know where we are on that, but hoping to get Eric on the show. And he was a longtime NFL quarterback, and of course he was he took one of the most vicious hits I've ever seen in my life, and of anyone in the NFL. He played 10 years with the Lions. Of course, he's from Utah State, graduated from Utah State, so he has local ties here. I'm curious, about this decision by Utah State to actually go into the Pac-12, and I wonder what the Pac-12 is actually going to look like, because let's face it, I know how I felt when Utah went into the Pac-12. And can it ever really be the Pac-12? I mean, it's not really the Pac-12 unless USC's there. And I mean, you kind of have to say Oregon and Washington and UCLA, although they're kind of trash and garbage right now. But that's really kind of the Pac-12. And to be a part of that, we were invited to the party. I used to go to these events. So this quarterback, Joey Harrington, from Oregon, played in the NFL for a brief moment. I think he was a third pick in the draft out of Oregon. And he would have a golf event for all of the schools in the Pac-12, and really fun to go to. This is Bandon Dunes. Like, who doesn't want to go to Bandon Dunes? And this was in some of the earlier days of Utah being in the Pac-12, and there was just a hint of snobbery with these people, right? They're just like, yeah, you're here, and you're here because we have to expand, but you're not really here. Like, we're kind of what the Pac is about, and so it's always fun when we started beating those schools, and then it got really fun, when we just beat the socks off of USC for years, for like because we didn't in the beginning. And that was just really fun. Beating Oregon twice in the same year within a short period of time. Some really fun experiences in growing up. But it's a really sad commentary that the Pac-12 is not dead, but it's kind of I don't know where it's going to end up. Really down the road. Like, I don't know, like because college football is going to change, right? It's going to have this, evolution, and it's still going to change. And it would be amazing if I think if they had like 3 conferences. They had an East, they had a Middle America, and they had a West. And they had the top teams in the country. And I realize 3 is odd, because you try to figure out how do you make playoffs and how do you do all that stuff, and who really cares? I mean, it's kind of cool that USC went and played Ohio State or Michigan. You feel like you're watching Rose Bowls, traditional old Rose Bowl games kind of every week, at least with a lot of those teams. So I kind of get the neatness of it. But, man, having that conference out here in the western United States is really quite a thing. So it's not going to be the Pac-12 or whatever Pac it is. Anyways, I don't know. It's just it'll be good. I think. I don't know. I mean, who else are they going to get? Because there's really no team for. Who else does the Pac-12 get, James?
I mean, it's got to be UNLV, right?
Well, they just decided no.
Oh, they just decided no. Okay, I'm outdated info right there. Okay.
Right. They said no.
Well, then,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know
that
there's
UNLV.
anyone. I mean, is it like Montana? Is it Idaho? Is it one of those schools up there? I mean,
do you think that they would elevate an FCS school rather than maybe New Mexico or something like that?
Yeah,
New Mexico State, who's a newly FBS school, maybe. I don't know.
Is it Nevada?
Nevada, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, UNLV is the most attractive market, and they are a program on the rise, despite what the news from this week about their quarterback leaving because of unfulfilled NIL commitments. But that would be the no-brainer. But if they're staying put in the Mountain West, then there's not really other hugely desirable options out there. I'm not sure elevating an FCS school to the Pac-12 is the way to go. I could see that. I could see the Mountain West going there. That makes a little more sense to me. But yeah, it feels like it's slim pickings. Maybe one of the New Mexico schools or Nevada. It would be the one that I would think I would look at. But that's kind of meh, right?
Can we do another poll question?
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's kind of some of the things. I know I talked a little bit about Travis Kelce, and a lot of people are, kind of on his case that all you should worry about and focus on is football. And he's doing a podcast. He's dating the most famous person in the world. And I say good for him.
And by the way, his team's 3-0.
Right,
maybe his performance is down and his production's down, but it's not necessarily hurting the team right now.
No, and his coach has kind of come out and, defended him to some degree. I'd be curious what people feel about this. Like, should he just altogether just focus on football? Can we do another poll question?
Yeah, we can definitely do another one. I'm typing it up right now, just ready for you to ask.
Altogether, just give up everything. Don't go to Taylor Swift concerts because she's still on her Eras tour, right? Or is that? I think that ends in like December or November or somewhere. Because she didn't go to his game in Atlanta. I mean, it's not like she's showing up to everything. So he can not go to her concerts, but he keeps the podcast that he does during the season, the New Heights podcast. So that's the second option. So he doesn't go to her concerts, but keeps the podcast. The third option is he just gives up everything. Like he's just like, Taylor, I'm not dating you during the season. Can't see each other. No podcast, no nothing. I have this short window left of my time in the NFL, and I'm just all in on football, and I will not be distracted or dissuaded by any other thing. So those are our three options.
All right. Say them all one more time for me. I've got
so number one is he's all in Taylor Swift. He just keeps doing what he's doing, goes to her concerts, he does his podcast, he does all these things. Number two is he gives up Taylor, at least going to the concerts. He keeps the podcast. He does that. And number three, he's all in on football. He gives it all up, even the podcast.
Man, that would be tough to do number three, right?
Well, I know, but it's like he's got the short window.
Yeah,
he's got this
you're right.
He's 34. He's not young anymore. So you might as well get. It's only for a short period of time. It's not the rest of his life. I mean, I know of people who played, myself included, who are like, I didn't want to have any distractions while I was playing. Like, I was all in. Maybe I should have more hobbies. I don't know. Anyways, let's take a break. Put those up. Unfortunately, we didn't get Eric on the phone here.
Yeah,
I actually
tried him a few times,
and he said that I don't know, maybe the number was wrong.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Anyways, let's take a break, and we'll come back here in just a minute. It is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk, and your home of the Utes. All righty, sports fans, welcome on back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean, who is in Scotland watching people beat each other up. It's Football Friday. We've got a lot going on. Of course, joining us right now is Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. Lee was up last week, and he actually our Miami Dolphins might start a former Ute in Tyler Huntley. Lee, how's it going?
Good. I think he's going to be the best option. So, do you ever have a game where similar to Skylar Thompson had, where you just could never get going at all?
Did I ever have a game like that? I think we've all had games like that. Yeah, it's just and here's the crazy thing about it: you have a game like that, and for whatever reason, it's kind of like it takes you forever to get on the field. Just by the TV timeouts and the defense is on there, and you've been sitting on the sideline for an actual half an hour to get on to the field. You
and
can't
your
get into
down.
a flow.
You're losing.
Yeah.
You're losing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then you go back and watch the film, usually of these games, and you go, we didn't really play that bad. And it's just kind of usually that happens. The games you think you played amazing, and you go back and go, man, we're lucky we won that game. But it's crazy sport. You were 3-2 last week.
I mean, they could. This is like the fifth quarterback they've had in camp. These guys that are the backups or the practice squad guys, they just kind of filter around the league.
It's not a fun thing when you're down to your fifth quarterback. Just so you know.
No,
that's
I
everyone
don't
in
know
the
how they
building
learn.
just.
A friend of mine has the 1966 Miami Dolphins playbook. And
it's probably the same one I have now.
I thought that was fairly thick. I mean, the playbooks now have to be astronomical. I mean, how many plays can you learn in a week and be able to perform at a fairly high rate? 40, 50?
As you get older and you played longer, the plays are always the same. They just call it something different. And so if you understand the concept, right? Yeah. Like if you understand concepts, it's you can function. It just if you've been in a lot of systems, you there's kind of a flow. They all kind of fit. They call the formations and they call protections in the play and whatever. It's getting into
John Gruden. Am I correct?
Yeah. Some of that stuff. It's almost like they do it intentionally. Like we're going to give you the worst, most torturous play in the world to call. And it's like a 5-yard hitch. At the end of the day, it's just a really simple hitch. It's just.
Thank God for me. My high school, my college, we had so many animals on the offensive line. They had trouble both places. We couldn't call snaps on two because they wanted to attack people. So we had to keep it a little fairly basic for these guys.
Yeah, snap count. That's a whole discussion too because I'd always forget the snap count, and we had we had because you call the play in the huddle. And then you call the snap count, and then you walk out of the huddle, and then you start thinking about the play. You go, okay, what do I got to do right here?
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the line of scrimmage, you're like, oh shoot, I forgot the snap count.
That was my biggest attribute, Scott, was I had the head bob down. What Bob Greasy used to do, I had it down to a science. Only problem was my offensive line would jump off sides 8 out of 9 times.
Yeah. So we had code words, and I would just call out a code word. I called it out every time I left the huddle, just so.
Okay.
I may have called it on 3, but I said no. We're going to change it to 1. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Help you out. Hey, you're up this week.
Yeah.
What's going on? Good week.
Let's keep rolling. Yeah, it was a good
Big
week.
One.
3-2. Anytime you win more than you lose, you're coming out ahead.
Yes, life is good. All right, Georgia, Alabama. That's a big one. What do you got in that game?
So, 2 really good quarterbacks, totally different. Carson Beck's more of a drop-back guy, probably go top 5 in the draft. And Jalen Milroe, dual-threat guy. The difference might come down to receivers here. Both teams have a ton of running backs. So Ryan Williams, this kid, he's a 17-year-old true freshman. He reclassified, should still be in high school, doesn't turn 18 until February. Of his 10 catches, 4 for touchdowns. Now, I just think Georgia really misses Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. Dominic Lovett filled in nicely. I just think he's a number 2 guy. Same with Kobe Young from Miami, who transferred in. I think Alabama might be able to come up with that one big play that makes a difference. And the home team when 2 top 5 teams square off, it's won 17 out of 27 games.
Oh.
I'm going to say wrong team favored here. Roll Tide, Alabama, 27-24.
Look at you. Kalen DeBoer, what do you think of Kalen? He was, of course, at Washington out here. Yeah, I like him too.
Really good coach. They had him, from what I heard, they really had, that athletic director knew that he had his guy if Nick Saban ever was to step down, and that's why he acted so quick. Yeah.
So the folks down in Alabama have embraced Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's a thing down there. Like, they got to like the coach.
Yeah. Yeah. So far, so good. Let's see after he loses a game, though.
Right. Baylor, BYU.
Baylor is nothing special. I mean, they don't run a lot of motion. Everything is just basic. They had Colorado up 2 different times by 2 touchdowns, and then in the pouring rain, they allowed the Hail Mary, and usually when that happens, you're done in overtime. BYU's game was incredible. I mean, it looked like from the start of the game, you're like, Kansas State looks better, but those 3 turnovers and then the special team score, it was all over. This is going to be a little bit tougher. It's a tough game. Not one of the games that I'm going to be betting, but we've got to tackle the games everyone cares about here.
Right. I
think special teams might be the difference here. I like Baylor. Low-scoring game. I think they win this game here 20-14.
Folks in Provo, they think BYU's headed for the championship game after last week.
I wouldn't go that far yet. I think they're. I don't know if it's this week, but they're going to face a team with more talent eventually, and they're good at home. When they're on the road, sometimes that's where they have the biggest problems.
All right, our beloved Utes against the Arizona Wildcats.
Crazy that Arizona scored the first drive in that game against Kansas State, went right down the field. Never scored again. So,
wow.
I think their offense is good. What's your guess? Cam's going to play this game, correct?
I just talked about it on the radio. I don't think he should play, but I know they really want him to play as soon as he's ready. And he looked really bad last week. Like watching him in the warm-ups, it was awful. Yeah. I'm having a hard time seeing him actually, make that much of a jump from last week to this week. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play again this week.
Okay. So if he doesn't play, I think Arizona's going to come to play. I think that they've underperformed. They need to do a little more motion. They need to take some chances, maybe a trick play here. So they had a week to prepare for that last game. That's just the most surprising thing. Their defense is nothing special here. Utah had the ball for 42 of the 60 minutes and only put up 22 points here. I think double digits is a little bit too much. If Cam doesn't play here, I'm going to say Utah wins 23-20, but Arizona covers. Yep.
Oh, okay. Notre Dame, Louisville, you added that one.
Yep. Yeah, so this is an interesting game. Louisville wins last year 33-20.
Right.
Had a +4 turnover advantage. Rematch games, I like the team that is playing home in the rematch. I think that Notre Dame is going to try to bully Louisville. Louisville, their only game against a decent team, Georgia Tech, they only ran for 98 yards on 37 carries, whereas Notre Dame ran for 198 at Texas A&M, one of the best defensive fronts in college football. First road game for Louisville. First game against top-level talent here. Riley Leonard was blanked at Duke when he played Louisville last year. I think he'll come focused for this game here, and I think Notre Dame's going to bully him here. I like Notre Dame here, 28-17.
Oh, yep. All right. All right, in the free play, Fresno State, UNLV.
Yep.
UNLV lost his quarterback.
Yeah. And the line hasn't moved. So is it a trap? Anyone wants to get it for free? First 5 callers that call 800-400-9741. We'll give them the game for free. And if they want to hop on, we don't call it October here, Scott. We call it Locktober at Paramount Sports. You can get 5 weeks of games for just $347 if you use coupon code SAVE200. Our biggest college game of the year goes on Saturday. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Nice. All right, always a pleasure to chat with you, Lee, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. See you, Scott.
All right, there you go. Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. He gives you the insight. Those guys win. He's been doing it for a long time. He knows what he's talking about. I'm not a gambler, but it's always fun to talk to one, and I know a few. All right, we're here at Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State Street in Murray. Jason Broadhead.
We're back.
Is back for
We're
more.
Back. Things
What deals do you have? How much has changed since your last year?
Not much has changed, and just more's coming to my mind. I'm hearing different things coming from my manager. One big thing I want to kind of circle back on is my manager is sick of 2024 Infinities. They want to get a move.
Oh, he doesn't like them anymore.
It's old news. I mean, we personally like them, but we don't like them sitting on our lots. We're giving out great deals on them, on some of our QX80s. We're giving up to $10,000 in rebates off or incentivized rates as low as 0.9%. So there are a lot of reasons to come in and take a look at the older year models if you're looking for a great deal. That's what I'd really say. I mean, Infinity has been changing the game on their 2025 80s, but we still have great cars for our 2024s and even some 2023s. Like, we have a lot of different years and different models of vehicles just sitting around looking for some love. We want to get them moved, and that's kind of the biggest thing we've been looking for this month is just moving a lot of our older new vehicles. Free car washes, too. Can't forget free car washes, tint, floor mats. I make the dreams happen.
All right, you heard the man. Come down to Tim Daly Infinity. They will take care of you no matter what. They're ready. They want to deal with you. They want to work with you. They want to have you forever. Forever as a client, and forever warranty. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We have Mark Wilson, former NFL quarterback, and, of course, BYU great is joining the program. Can't wait to chat with Mark. It is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean O'Connell, my guest host. Sean is off watching people beat each other up in, I believe it's Scotland. Like the country Scotland, not like, I don't know if there is a city Scotland. There's probably a city Scotland somewhere in the United States of America. Someone look it up. Anyways, we did a couple of poll questions. One about should Cam Rising play if he's healthy, and what should Travis Kelce do with his life, right? Should he do whatever? Anyways, I don't want to get into that right now. We can talk about it later because I really want to talk to our next guest here. We have none other than Mark Wilson, who was a #1 draft choice of the Oakland Raiders in 1980, I believe. He was an All-American at BYU, the first consensus All-American. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Threw for over 10,000 yards in the NFL, 2 Super Bowl championships, played 10 years. Welcome to the show, Mark Wilson. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on with you, Scott.
Okay, you too. Like, quarterback's just a different thing. We have a different language. We understand the world in a different way. If you really want to figure out what's going on in football, in life, whatever, just talk to your the closest quarterback you have around you. Just talk to them. So we're gonna get right into it. I have to ask you this question, okay? How do you best describe what it's like being? I guess they're the Las Vegas Raiders now. They went from Oakland to LA, back to Oakland, and now to Las Vegas. Anyways, what is it like to be a Raider?
It's actually great because Mark Davis, who now owns the team, his dad obviously owned it for a long time before him. Mark is just phenomenal. Mark believes that if once a Raider, always a Raider, and he probably treats the alumni of the Raiders as good or better than any team in the NFL. So it's actually a great honor and a privilege to say you're a Raider, and they treat you as such. That organization treats you as such. So it's actually a great thing.
I think if there's one, if I had one, like that would be the team I'd want to be from. Like I think it would be really cool to be a Raider. I just to say that I play for I don't know. There's just something about it that's just different, and it would be really cool. And look, I'm happy for the teams I played for, and all that stuff. But I think I want to be a Raider. That's what I want.
Well, we'd love to have you, man. You had a great career.
All right, I got to ask you.
I'll tell you what, we're going to make you an honorary Raider today. You're part of the gang.
I see. That's how you guys roll. Like, I don't think anyone else would do that. It's
I'll get a Raider jersey for you, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. I have this amazing studio, and I would put it up prominently. I totally would.
I'm gonna figure that out, and I'm gonna have to send to you.
Yeah. So you were roommates with Matt Millen.
I was for a long time.
That's just amazing to me. And the reason I know this is because Matt Millen told me. So he was broadcasting, and because we're of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint faith here, and Matt says, I know all your stuff. I know what it all means. I know. What was it like rooming with Matt Millen?
Matt is, well, you have a different probably view of him because your experience with him in Detroit, but I was the first round pick and Matt was the second round pick, and that's why they put us together, which was kind of an odd combination. It's kind of an odd couple, but Matt is a great person. Obviously, he's a great player, but he's also really a fun guy to hang out with, and so we had a great time together. I love Matt, always will, and think so highly of him. So Matt made it really fun, but he made it fun for everybody. But since I was with him a lot, it was a lot of fun to be with Matt.
Yeah, I can only imagine all the characters you guys had on those teams, and oh my goodness, I just do you have a story? Like, do you have your favorite story of being a Raider? I want to just say the Oakland Raiders, but it's just so hard to just say Raiders. But
I don't know that I have a favorite one, but the Raiders we had so many characters in those years. It was so fun to go to practice. I mean, I couldn't wait to get to practice to hear what happened the night before with all these guys. But I think my favorite story, because the Raiders were known as these outlaws, these, bad guys. And we were playing in New England, and Marcus ran a long run down the sideline. And what happens? Everyone follows the ball. And what they didn't realize, the nose tackle for the Patriots got hurt, but he didn't lay there. He crawled off the field, but no one saw that. So we come up the line of scrimmage. they don't have a nose tackle, but they don't even realize they don't have a nose tackle. So I changed the play to run right up the middle because they don't have a nose tackle. You know, we've got 5 guys combined weight of, I don't know, 1,500 pounds, and then we've got Marcus Allen going to carry the ball. So this is a home run. And right before we snap the ball, our right guard, Mickey Marvin, comes up out of his stance and points to their middle linebacker and says, "Hey, y'all don't have a nose guard in here." and their middle linebacker calls timeout. We don't run the play. So we get in the huddle, and everyone's yelling at Mickey like, what were you thinking? So I step in the huddle and say, "Mickey, before we go on, you got to tell us, what were you thinking? Because this was a home run." And Mickey said, "Well, when Mark called that audible, my job was to double team the nose guard with Donnie, our center, and they didn't have a nose guard, and I didn't know what to do." But Raiders were good guys. They would tell you if you didn't have nose guards. If they didn't tell you weren't lined up right, they'd tell you.
You guys had the nose guard police. You were like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Burgess Owens, of course, he's a legislator here for state rep, or he's in Congress for the state of Utah, and you were also turned teammates with him. Did you ever see that happening with Burgess?
Well, Burgess was always, a little different in a really positive way. I mean, you talk about, a man with huge integrity, great guy, a quiet leader who, when he spoke, people listened. One of those kind of guys. He was a weak safety, and we had some wild guys back there in the secondary, and he kind of kept them all corralled, kind of pointed in the right direction. So no, I'm not totally surprised. I mean, that was his character back then, and certainly it's his character today.
Yeah, I know Burgess well, and really think a lot of him. So you started out in Oakland, and then you went to Los Angeles, and then you went back to Oakland. And what was it like going from Oakland to Los Angeles? Like just the transit, like moving the team, and I've always been curious about, like, is that a weird thing or hard? What was it like?
Well, it was really weird because when they made that move, we actually stayed in Oakland. So we were the Los Angeles Raiders, but we all lived in Oakland for the year. We practiced in Oakland. We'd fly down there for the games. So every game was an away game.
Oh, wow.
That was really bizarre. I mean, it's nice that LA's so close. It's about an hour flight.
Right.
But it didn't matter. I mean, every game was an away game. We all lived in Oakland. Then when that season was over, we had some time to transition and get moved down there and get settled. But that first year was weird. There's no question about it. And even, just the vibe of Oakland is so different from the vibe of LA, as you know. And we won a Super Bowl in '83 in LA, which was phenomenal. Yeah. But it was always an odd fit, being in LA. It just really didn't fit with the vibe of the Raiders. It was always kind of an awkward deal, at least the way I perceived it.
I'd love to ask people this question, guys that played in the NFL. Like, do you remember the moment when you go, okay, I belong here? When was that moment for you?
It took me a while because we had a great team. Jim Plunkett was. We started out with Dan Pastorini as the quarterback my rookie season, and Dan broke his leg in the 5th game, and Jim kind of took over. Jim played great, but for the next 4 or 5 years or so, Jim and I were in and out. It was kind of a crazy situation. It took a while, but I think like 1984, 85, I can't remember the exact year, we won 11, 12 games with me as the starter. And, through that stretch, I knew that I belonged and I should be playing.
Yeah, I went to the Miami Dolphins and sat behind Dan Marino and every day my jaw just dropped in practice watching him throw a football, and like, I can never do that. And then, I finally got to play, he got injured, and it just, that, I kind of had that moment. It was really powerful for me. I grew up in a small town in Utah, and funny story, somehow my dad did some work for Gifford Nielsen. And my dad came home one day and said, "Hey, would you like to go see the Houston Oilers play?" And I go, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah." And so we flew to Texas, and we actually had dinner at Gifford. I think he lived in an apartment. We had dinner one night at his house. I got a game ball from the game. I went to the walkthrough practice on Saturday morning. I went in the locker room, you're talking about Dan Pastorini, and Dan Pastorini actually said, he goes, I don't know what happened. He said, I was driving my car down the road last night, and the median just jumped out and hit me, and of course he had a little bit to drink there, but so for me, kind of finding that moment in the NFL, I mean, I had that experience, and I fell in love with, I still have the game ball today, and Gifford, I go to football camps. In fact, you were at one of those camps when I was there with Gifford, and I know you don't remember me in the camp. I was just a little snot-nosed kid. I mean, I'm not that younger than you, but you were at the camp. It was an exciting thing, and so to go and make it in the NFL, was just a really cool experience. So I love to hear those moments, because I don't know about you, but I loved my experience in the NFL. What was it like for you?
Well, I loved certain moments of it. There's no question about that. But there were a few moments that we could do without. But overall, no, a great experience. I mean, we probably, like you, reflect back all the time about different things and different circumstances. And I honestly can say if I could go back and do it again, but I'm probably not unlike anybody else. I'd do it probably a little differently. Yeah. But overall, no, great experience. Great experience. Had an opportunity to play some great players and some great teams, and what memories I have of that.
Yeah. What do you think you'd do different if you could go back?
Oh, I was, and this is going to sound weird, but I think in some respect, because you can't take it too seriously, because it's obviously very serious what's going on. But I put way too much pressure on myself to be perfect and to. If I would have just lightened up a little bit, I think it would have gone a little differently at times.
That is so funny you're saying that, because as I asked you the question, I'm like, well, what would I have done different? And it's the same thing. It's the same. It's like, I mean, I get so wound up before games, and so, and I was trying to always do it the right way, and I'm just like, gosh, just lighten up a little bit and have fun with this. I totally get that.
There were even times when I did things because the coaches wanted it to be done a certain way when I knew that wasn't the right way, at least for me. And I did it the way they wanted to do it anyway. And looking back, I thought, I'm the one who's going to get, there's going to be consequences based upon how this turns out. So I probably should do it the way I feel best about. Thinking now.
Right. If you're going to go down, you might as well go down.
Yeah. But at the time, I wanted to do it exactly the way they wanted to have it done. And even though I didn't necessarily feel like that was the right way, there was really only one time in my career where I basically said, no, I'm not doing that. And it's an iconic play. It was Bo Jackson's run that everyone sees, all the time.
Yeah.
Against Seattle, where he runs 80 yards up in the tunnel.
Yeah.
That play, that was a weird game because all our receivers were hurt. We only had like one or two receivers going into the game, and so we played almost every snap with two tight ends, one receiver, and two backs.
Oh my goodness!
And so you can imagine on third down, it was really fun because they'd bring in 6-7 defensive backs and double everybody, and there was nowhere to throw the ball.
Wow.
And we were playing in the Kingdom, and if you played there, I'm sure you played there, you could, once that avalanche, the crowd got into it, it was over. You could not reverse it. And we had control of the game. The crowd was out of the game, and it was like 3rd and 17. We're backed up, and they brought in this pass play, this 22-yard comeback to our one lone receiver against 7 defensive backs. I never said anything in the huddle. I didn't tell the guys what the play was that came in, but in my mind I said, I'm not doing this. And I called the plays tight near right, 17 Bob Trail, gave it to Bo, and he ran 80 yards. And I came off the field, and Tom Flores runs over to me and says, hey, what was that play you called? That's not what I called. I said, and I just looked at him and smiled and said, it worked pretty good, didn't it?
I'm not a smart man, but I know their 7 DBs against our one receiver is not a good play. I mean, I don't know everything, but I know that's not a good play.
Especially in that stadium at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it like with in the quarterback room with Gifford Nielsen and yourself and Jim McMahon? Was Steve Young there at the time?
No, Steve wasn't there. He came a little later, but there was another guy named Dan Hartwig who was there, who was a guy out of Northern California that was actually great. Dan was 6'4" as a freshman, weighed 230, and could throw it 75, 80 yards. And
Wow.
I've told the story. He dropped back in practice, at BYU, and if he couldn't figure out how to throw it, he'd just rear back and throw it down there 80 yards, and everybody would just like look at each other like, "Did you just see that?" I mean, I don't care they didn't complete the pass. That was phenomenal. That was Dan Hartwig, and then Dan got frustrated. There wasn't a portal thing in those years, so he transferred, sat out a year, and went to a California school. But then Dan got drafted by the 49ers. So there were 4 of us in that room at the time that I ended up playing in the NFL. No, it was, we didn't know. We didn't know,
right.
What we had in that room. But looking back, it was pretty special.
Yeah, I'll bet that was amazing. I just think of, I for 4 years I sat between Don Shula and Dan Marino like every day and every meeting. Shula was always in the offensive meeting rooms, and I in the moment I was like, this is pretty cool, and I imagine you probably had that. I mean, you mentioned Bo Jackson and these other players. What was it like playing with kind of those iconic superstar players in your career?
Well, it was really fun. Some of them, worked so hard at it. Others not so much, but just were so talented they could overcome, anything because they just were so physically gifted. But really, most of them worked really hard at it and really studied the game. I mean, I'll say that about everybody. And you might not know it because the way they carried themselves, but if you really dug into it and you could watch them, 24 hours a day, it's amazing that what they, the kind of effort they put into it. But it was just so fun because we had so many characters and they kind of all competed for the attention of the group. And so they tried to outdo each other. And it was just amazing. It was an amazing time in Raider history to be a part of those teams in the early 80s. And you look at the cast of characters that we had, and, it's just iconic. There's name after name after name that were on those teams.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. Yeah. I was a huge Raider fan. I'm still a Raiders fan, so I just think it's cool. All right, I gotta let you go here, but I want to ask one question before I do. I have a million questions, and I really appreciate you doing this, and hopefully we can do more of it down the road. But so BYU, how close do you follow your former school? I think I'm allowed to say BYU on this radio. I'm not sure.
I am not fanatical about it in that I don't read the paper and the social media stuff and all the stuff every day. So I'm not up on all the latest news, but I'm watching, I'm paying attention. I think that's probably the best way to describe. I love it. I love Kalani. I love what they're doing. I mean, I think they're probably one of the more surprising teams in the country. The first 4 games. But
so how confident are you about how good they are? I'm wondering if we could have a wager. Would you be up for a wager for a Raiders jersey? So Utah BYU this year. You want to wager lunch or something?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll take my guy straight up.
Okay,
even
straight
though it's
up.
on the road. Even though it's on the road.
All right. Feeling confident. All right. Hey, it's been great, Mark. Love to chat. Love to do more of it, and really appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, thanks. It's been fun.
All right, there you go. Mark Wilson, former Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas Raider, once a Raider, always a Raider. Really glad that he joined our program here. We're going to take a break here. Just a reminder, Spence is giving away tickets all week on The Drive. Justin Timberlake. Is it on the January 25th? Is that right, at the Delta Center? Anyways, tune in to Spence. Get your tickets. Justin Timberlake. All right, we're at Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State Street in Murray. Jason Broadhead is back.
We're back.
He's
baby.
Back. He's never left. He's here forever. Forever, because they have the forever warranty.
Sir. Love
Come
the way you
down.
put it.
Jason's going to tell us about all the amazing deals they got going on.
Yeah. So I think, been kind of going back and forth on a lot of different things that we're doing right now at the dealership. But one thing I didn't talk about was our offers for leasing, and I really do want to kind of talk about that. We have very, very, very great offers for leasing. On 2024 QX50s, you can, lease for them for $439 a month. QX55s, $549. Q50s, $559. There's a lot of different options with leasing, and I think another thing that's great on what we offer is we offer something called the Signature Flex Lease program. I think a lot of people think that when they're getting into leases, they think they drive a lot and they're going to go over their mileage limit. And, there's a couple different things that scares people about leasing. But what Infinity does is with their Signature Flex Lease, what you can do is that if for any reason you go over your mileage, you have the option to purchase miles during the lease at just 10 cents on the mile. So I think that's another great thing. And with leasing, you can always trade in the vehicle. You could always buy it out. You could walk away from it. It gives you a lot of options on whether, you're wanting to test out a vehicle, not sure if you'll like it, drive it around for a bit, see if you would, or maybe you have some negative equity in the vehicle you currently have and want to flip that into something else so you can walk away from it. There's a lot of different options that we offer here, just trying to help out, our customers, because a customer of Tim Daly is a friend of Tim Daly. That's what I always like saying.
Well, it's like you guys take the fear out of everything.
Exactly.
Because I'm thinking about, I don't want to lease a car because I like to drive and I like the mile, and I don't want to have to sit and, penny pinch my miles and all that stuff. And you have the forever warranty. So I love that you're going to take care of people and in all ways take care of the fears, take care of any issue, service, forever warranties, the whole thing. If you're in the area, if you need a car, if you don't need a car, just come down and buy one anyways, because it's they got cars for everyone.
Cars for
new,
everyone,
used,
floor
lease,
mats, new, used, lease, everything.
The whole
we
thing.
got everything you could want.
All right. Tim Daly, Infinity, 4594 South State Street in Murray. We'll be back in a minute. This is Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk and your home of the Utes.
WMB.com.
All righty, sports fans, welcome back. Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean O'Connell on the Sean O'Connell Show. Sean is over in Scotland watching people beat each other up. And I'm here at Tim Daly Infinity in Murray, 4594 South State Street here in Old Murray, Utah. Come on down. They will take great care of you. Got a little bit more time left in the program here, hoping to get one of my former teammates on the show, Herman Moore. Of course, he was a four-time Pro Bowl player, first-round draft pick of the Lions in 1991, number 10 pick overall, led the NFL in receiving multiple years, played 12 years in the NFL. Anyways, hope to get him on. The communication between Broadway and Salt Lake City to Detroit, Michigan is, maybe it's a little – they need more hamsters going around to generate more power to get the phone out, all the way out there. If not, we'll talk about other things. I have to tell you, though, I don't know if you tuned into the last segment, but it was so fun to talk to Mark Wilson. I could literally talk to him forever. It's just so fascinating. Those Raiders teams back in the 80s and just throughout kind of all generations, characters, great players. I mean, think about having Marcus Allen in your backfield and Bo Jackson. What an incredible thing to have there, and it's just so fun to talk to people and my contemporaries, and I hope you appreciate it. I really do, because I love to get it. I love the insight, the kind of the different vibe all of it is, but just a really, really fun thing, and still trying to get Herman on the phone. Maybe he's just who knows, those wide receivers.
Scott, maybe you weren't as good of friends as you thought you were. I don't know. Is that what's going on?
This way, I'm not totally surprised. I mean, I have talked to Herman like 4 times today, but Herman's a good dude. He's who knows what's going on. I don't know, but and really fun. I think folks would really enjoy hearing from him if we get a chance to get him on.
I hope he calls us back. I left him the callback number, so hopefully he calls us back. We can get him for at least a few minutes here. Do you want me to update your poll results here?
Yes, let's chat about the poll for a minute. But I have a concerning question. So
okay,
let's talk about the poll. So we're Travis Kelce. I'm worried about Travis spending too much time with Taylor Swift. So where are we on the Travis Kelce issue?
Well, majority of people disagree with you, Scott. Majority so far, 60% all in on Taylor Swift and the pod is 60%.
Oh.
But then second at 36% is all football, no pod, no Taylor.
Oh.
And then it looks like we got one vote, maybe. 4% says keep the pod, no Taylor Swift concerts. So one, not the other.
Very polarizing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one way or another on this. All in or all out.
But it's about 60-40 all in on Taylor.
No. So me, I would say I'd go all in. That would be my vote. Yeah, I'm all in.
I'm not with. First of all, you're absolutely right, because it would be it's a dream of many people to date someone like Taylor Swift, yes. And to have a successful podcast like he has, New Heights, with his brother. And be in the NFL, so just try to do all of it would be mine. But also because I'm not with all this women are jinxes, women make you play worse, or your significant others. if you're in love, you can't perform as well at work. Like I think it's a load of crap, and I think we need to dispel that. And I think him winning a Super Bowl last year and playing as well as he did, especially in the second half, kind of should have dispelled all of that.
So you know who thought that you couldn't be with a woman, or it would mess up your football? Was Bill Walsh.
Bill Walsh, really?
Yes. Yeah, he had a cutoff time during the week, so you could not have intimate relations after Wednesday.
So it was like a curfew of sorts.
Yeah, it was a moratorium.
Wow.
It was a moratorium on intimacy. Like intimacy after. I kid you not. This is a true. True story.
This is regardless of your marital status.
Right. No. Yeah. No matter what.
That's amazing.
I guarantee you. I'll bet everyone on that team broke that rule and never admitted it to him. Maybe he thought they would. Right. So maybe because he was kind of he kind of liked to manipulate your mind. So maybe Bill Walsh said, I know none of them are going to buy this, right? And they're all going to be, doing their thing, probably Saturday night, the night before the game. And maybe it's one of those things that, he knew would kind of relax his players and get their minds kind of
reverse psychology, you think?
It would be a fun poll question to ask like football players. Not the general public. Like,
no.
Did you play better or worse if you had intimate relations?
There's the great Seinfeld episode I actually just watched with George when he goes a long time without it, and he is all of a sudden a genius. And then Elaine goes a couple of days without it, and she can't function.
Of course.
I mean, we need to know how that would be with football players. Yeah, you seem to have all the Bill Walsh dirt, by the way. You had this story about him
in the
allegedly not letting anyone stand near him on the sideline because he wanted all the TV cameras' attention.
Bill Walsh. Look, all great head coaches are fascinating, right? They're all super quirky and super. Look, Don Shula. This is a true story about Coach Shula. It rained a lot in South Florida. Like, it's a tropical climate.
No way.
Yeah, it did. And we would get afternoon thunderstorms, typically earlier in the season, with a lot of lightning. More lightning strikes, more lightning deaths in the state of Florida than anywhere in the country.
Early season's still hurricane season, so it makes sense you get a ton of rain at that time. Yeah.
Yes, and Coach Shula would never end practice. He's like, we're going to keep practicing. And he goes,
a little rain's going to kill you, fellas? Come on.
No, he would literally stand next to me. It wasn't the rain. It was the lightning. And he goes, you're taller. It's going to hit you before it hits me, so we'll keep practicing. And I was the lightning rod that saved Coach Shula's life. And he would not, I kid you not, he would not stop practice.
Hey, that's why he made the uprights higher, right? He made sure the uprights were higher.
He felt like they were cheating. Yeah.
But that's
and all that stuff. Yes.
That's an amazing story.
So what was our other poll question? It's a yes or no. Cam Rising, should he play if he's 85%? Where are we on that one?
So that's my bad. I missed the 85% part of it. I just put should he play, and I was like, this is gonna be like 90-10. It's actually pretty split. I mean, yes is winning 64%, but only at 64%, 36% are saying no. So I think there's a good amount of people siding with you, Scott, that if he's not 100%, or even maybe if he is 100% with the bye week coming up, maybe you shut him down and say, hey, we'll have him ready for ASU.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it all week long. I brought it up earlier in the week, and the more I've thought about it, it's just like, but give Isaac Wilson all the practice reps because that's what he needs. He needs all the practice. Just be all in on Isaac Wilson and it's too late now because it's Friday. We don't know what happened. We're not privy to that information. But man, I just think that might be the smartest way to go. So we'll see what happens. Well, I wonder. Here's something for our fans. We're going to go to break here, but let them contemplate this because since we've had this conversation about intimate relations and the lack thereof and how much it impacts your performance, whether it's a good or bad thing. The NFL
work
passing
performance. Let's be very clear about that.
Okay, work performance. Yes. Passing in the NFL is down. I just wonder if there's a correlation. If nobody's having intimate relationships in the NFL, maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Something to think about when we go to break.
Should we assume the passing leader is the George Costanza and the rest of the NFL is the Elaine in this situation?
I think the passing leader Josh Allen. So
there you go.
Yeah. We should call Josh and find out. Get the down and dirty on Josh Allen here. We'll have to find out.
Shameless plug. I love it.
Yes. By the way, I am starting a digital sports show, which will actually be on the ESPN app. It's called The Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, and we discuss all of these types of hard pressing questions. Is having intimate relations a good or bad thing as it relates to work performance? Is that
work performance for regular people, and obviously on field or on court performance for the professional athletes.
Yeah. Well, we can see what's happening to Travis Kelce right now, can't we? That might be the answer. All right, let's take a break. It is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. We've got Sean O'Connell. We're going to air some grievances when we return. Stick around. We'll be right back. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in as a guest host of the show today. We are at Tim Daly Infinity here in Murray on State Street, 4594 South State Street in Murray. Of course, it's been a fun show. It's Football Friday, and we are going to be graced by none other than the host, the namesake of this show. And is it correct? It's all the way from Scotland that Sean O'Connell joins us right now. He has grievances he wants to air, so we're going to do that right now. Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Scott. And yes, I'm hailing all the way from beautiful Glasgow, Scotland right now. It's very freezing cold right now at about almost 9 p.m. in Scotland, but a good place to be for some fights tomorrow night for PFL Europe and their semifinals.
Have you had haggis yet? That's really the thing we want to know.
I have. They had haggis at the breakfast buffet, and I tried it. It was decent.
It's not bad. It's not bad. We're not going to get into what it actually is because it's kind of disgusting, but it's
you don't want to know how the sausage is made. You don't want to know the haggis is made either.
No, but it is cooked and it's very edible. So let's get right into this. You have some grievances. Talk to me here. Vent. Tell me what's going on.
Listen, I've never done this before on the show. I've never aired a grievance on behalf of someone else, but my wife came on this trip with me, okay? And we were on the plane. She fell asleep on the plane, like people are supposed to do on a transatlantic flight, all right? And the guy sitting next to her, there was an open seat between her and the gentleman next to her, and that, for whatever reason, after she fell asleep, he woke her up twice just to tell her something, just to talk to her. Not for an emergency, not to please move so I can go to the bathroom, not for any of the acceptable reasons you would wake someone up on a flight, just to say, hey, I forgot to mention this from my story earlier. Twice, Scott.
Oh, my goodness.
It's unforgivable. You cannot do that.
No, you cannot. You cannot. So, how's your wife? Is she over it, or is she still kind of bent from it, or what's?
She's a much more reasonable and agreeable person than I am, so she got over it immediately. But I feel like I needed to air that grievance for the world.
Well, and I'm glad you did. And do you feel better because you did it?
Yeah, I'm glad we got that off the chest. Just, people, come on. If someone's sleeping on an airplane, let them sleep. Don't be ridiculous.
Can you sleep on the airplane?
Yes.
You're in, surprisingly, I'm really tall and big, right? And I actually can sleep on airplanes. I don't know.
I wasn't going to say that surprises me. I mean, most people of a grander size can't be comfortable on an airplane.
No. Yes. So. If you're flying kind of that direction, you need to be able to sleep because you kind of fly through the night, and so, and if you don't, you're grumpy. Okay, I have a grievance. I want to join the fray here. I want to wallow in my self-pity and sorrow with you. I'm kind of like I think a lot of people. I'm having Cam Rising injury fatigue. I'm just kind of it's almost like I feel like it's time to just boycott it. I can't tell you. The only question people ask me is Cam going to play? Cam healthy? Is he going to play? And it's been going on now for so long that it's just and we talk about it. We pontificate about it, and I'm just kind of over it. It's just I've hit my level, and I can't do it anymore. I can't.
I understand. I know I think that is a decent grievance to air. I think that most people feel that way who have to answer that question over and over and over and over again. I feel some significant sympathy for Cam himself, for people being constantly, hey, how you feel? You can play? You can play? How you feel? You can play? And that just would be terrible when it's you who's hurt and you who now really has missed out on, a year and a half of your time. So, yeah, it's terrible.
I've got a grievance, guys, if I can.
Okay,
please.
Give
on
us
this
a grievance.
Friday. I have a grievance, and I've been holding on to this for a week. Since Utah went for 2, up by 19 against Oklahoma State. Nonsensical 2-point conversion attempts.
Oh, is that like a Dr. Seuss nonsensical 2-point?
So
Seuss book.
Devil's advocate, OC, tell me why it was sensical.
That was sensical because if you go up, if you get the 2-point conversion, then you're up more than 2 touchdowns and a field goal. See, the way they were trying to avoid the situation that they almost found themselves in, where 2 touchdowns and a field goal could have tied that game. And thankfully, the defense did what it needed to do and stopped the even field goal from being attempted. But if you go up 5 there, then even a field goal, you're still winning by 2.
See, my thing with it was because you didn't just kick the field goal and you missed it. You put yourself in a position where if Oklahoma State got the ball back, all they needed was a field goal. If you went for 2, or if you just kicked the field goal, you would have been up 20. And you would have been up by. They would have had to score a touchdown. Now it all came out in the wash because Utah got the first down. Mekhi Bernard got the first down. They didn't even threaten there. But it's been a thing where you're up by 20 or more points or whatever it is with 5 minutes left in NFL and college, where coaches are going for these. You never saw it before. These analytic driven 2-point conversions, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But I hear what you're saying, OC.
Yeah, Moneyball ruined all of this, okay? When they got into analytics and everyone figured out a computer could do it better than your gut instinct and your intuition, it's wrecked the sport. Yeah, it's totally wrecked up. All right, we gotta let you go, Sean. We're done for the day. So go have some haggis, and really been fun, and look forward to chatting next week when you're back.
Thanks for holding it down for me. Appreciate it very much. And go Utes. Talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Go Utes. All right. Topical trivia is brought to you by, of course, you get 2 tickets to Thomas Rhett next year, 9/20/25, at U First Credit Union Amphitheater. 2 Jersey Mike free sub cards. That's the hot lunch sponsor, okay? So our topical trivia is this. What was Mark Wilson was a first-round draft choice of the Oakland Raiders at the time. What pick number was he? There were only, I'll just give you, it's one of 30. Okay, so first round, what pick did he go in the first round? That's our trivia. And
you can
of course,
text that in. 877-353-0700.
Thank you so much for that. Ineos Grenadier is, of course, our final segment is brought to you by Warner's Ineos Grenadier. If you want to elevate your drives, seriously, you got to go check them out. Demo the all-new Ineos Grenadier today at Warner, and they're located at the corner of 2400 South and 5600 West in West Valley. Browse online at warnersineosgrenadier.com. All right, joining us right now, we're really briefly here before we get out, is Jason Broadhead. He is here at Tim Daly Infinity, 4594 South State Street. What do you got for us?
Okay, so, I think I've done like 4 or 5 segments, something like that. I've really talked about all I can, so I just kind of want to circle around to it. We got used cars. We got new cars. We're trying to make deals happen. We're giving out discounts. We're giving out tint, floor mats, anything like that. It's getting close to the end of the month. Anyone who knows anything about buying cars, that's the best time to get deals. We're trying to move as many as we can, and we just want to, be able to move some metal. So that's the real big thing. But, like I said, unique inventory. We got our 2025 QX80s. We have, 0.9% interest rate on 2024 QX80s and up to $10,000 in rebates. Lifetime powertrain, free car washes, floor mats, everything like that. But kind of keeping it simple, I think – since it's my last spot, go Utes, go Real Salt Lake.
Nice.
And more importantly, go Seattle Seahawks, going 4-0 this week. That's what I want to say.
Wow.
Detroit doesn't have a chance. Detroit doesn't have a chance. But, yeah, just rounding out, we have a lot of great cars. We have a lot of great, maintenance packages. We want to take care of you. If you want to feel good about a car you buy, come down here.
All right, very well said, Jason. Of course, Tim Daly, they will take care of you. Infinity, they really will. And, they'll not only take care of you, but they'll do it forever. Forever. All right, it's been a lot of fun. Love being on the show today. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
we are out. So thanks, James, for letting me do this today. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks to all our guests here. I'm Scott Mitchell. This is the Sean O'Connell Show. It is on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk, and your home of the Utes.